Here I'm Lisa Shupline. I'm neither a nurse or a healthcare practitioner, but I'm a regular person navigating elderly care. I've been managing my parents' health care from a distance for a long time, and now I care for my mother here in my home. I started a while back. My parents are both in their 90s, or they both were. My dad's passed away since then, but they needed to leave their family home due to several issues. My dad, despite his independence, had faced declining mobility issues, safety concerns, and no longer being able to drive. So we wanted to move them to Texas, but my dad wanted to stay in Florida, so we explored some local assisted living facilities in the area. This video will show you our criteria for choosing a facility and some unexpected lessons we learned along the way. So at first we considered trying to house them at home and hiring home healthcare aides, but the price of legit home healthcare aides are somewhere in the vicinity of $25 per hour and up. And those agencies, when you hire one of them, they're working for one person, and I had two people. So that $25 would be $50 an hour, and when you consider 24 by 7 healthcare, this was impractical for us, especially with both parents needing care. And what happens if somebody doesn't show up? We don't live in Florida. None of my siblings live in Florida. There was no safety ramp, so we crossed out that option. So I did an online investigation. I picked the top facilities in the area based on reviews and recommendations, and that narrowed it down to 2 facilities. Both cost about the same, which was just under $10,000 a month for 2 people in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit. One facility didn't have a unit available of that size. That left us with the other facility that was new, and they were just booking up. So Dad was able to pick the unit of his choice, which was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit with a giant balcony, which he thought was pretty cool at the time. We did tour both facilities. We were looking for homeliness. Did it feel homey? Cleanliness. Was it clean and odor-free? The atmosphere. Were the residents happy and smiling? And then activities. What sort of activities were available to enrich their lives at this stage of the game? So the biggest adjustment my dad had in looking at these apartments, and the one they got was brand new and they were the first residents in that room, was the kitchens are limited, and Dad loved to cook, but he really wasn't at the stage to manage it because he was in a wheelchair. Very difficult to manage a refrigerator or any food items in a cabinet and reaching them, or cooking them, or remembering to turn the stove off. Most of these facilities have limited kitchens, usually a refrigerator or microwave, and you can bring small appliances, but nothing that can start a fire. So that was an adjustment. We had a very nice sales rep, and they sold us on a few things that sounded great. He was very attentive to us while we were in the sales process, but once my parents moved in and we had some issues, I neglected to ask for who to call. How do I resolve any issues that come up after they move in? Be sure to get that. They promised us an in-house doctor, so in my mind I thought, oh great, they have a doctor on staff. You know, my parents, if they needed a doctor, there's a doctor there. Turns out the doctor is a doctor who has a practice. They come in maybe daily or weekly, but they only see certain patients once a month during that time, and if you're lucky enough to see them because you've got an issue, you're lucky. But this is general, so any specialists you have to arrange yourself. You have to be able to schedule those appointments with that cognitive ability, and you have to arrange the transport, which is the next thing we were promised. Oh, we have a car, we can transfer your parent to the doctor's office. Great. They neglected to say only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my dad, who had existing appointments on the book, tried to arrange transport and found out, oh, it's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but he didn't have time to rejigger his appointment. So he had to cancel the appointment, deal with the frustration, and 95 he was really dealing with trying to figure out how to line all the things and make it work. So that is difficult without a family member, locally preferably, or anybody even outside of local to help arrange on their behalf. What surprised us? Assisted living places have different licensing levels, and those licensing levels mean that the staff has different training. This place had a lower licensing level, so that meant they had nurses' aides versus LPNs or RNs. They did have one RN on staff, but not 24/7. Staffing was an issue because we found out at night when Dad needed help and maybe slipped to the floor. There was a pregnant nurse's aide there and she's not allowed to lift, so they would call the fire department. They really weren't licensed for a 2-person lift, so that was a problem. My dad went to the hospital and we found out in order to come home, he now has to pass a mobility test. Well, he had slid from a walking person to somebody who could no longer walk just prior to us putting him in this facility over a 5-month period. And he was still able to transfer from a chair to a toilet, a chair to a bed, or a chair to a chair. But after the hospital visit, he had lost that ability. And had he not been discharged from rehab erroneously and turned up at the door with no place to go, he would have been rejected from coming home to his new home and cohabitate with his wife. They allowed him to stay. It was probably against the rules, but thankfully he was able to be with my mom. But he wasn't there for long before ending up back in the hospital. And the other issue we had was with medication management. My parents had been managing their pills at home, or so we thought. Come to the facility, they give you a test, and they failed. Now the pills that they had in their little bottles were no longer acceptable. This facility required pills to be in a pill pack. I'm sure you've seen those little packs where you punch out the little pills. And that's probably for sanitary reasons, among other things. So Dad, who had the cheapest pills imaginable through his healthcare, was then being forced to either go to the facility pharmacy and pay more to get the pill packs, or ship your pills to a place and they package them for you into the pill packs, which had a turnaround issue. Neither situation was great. Dad was kind of stubborn, as elderly people can be, and he fought that for the 4 or 5 months he was in the facility until the day he died. Not a pleasant situation. It was kind of a surprise. We weren't expecting to have a test for the pills, and we were never told that pills had to be in a pill pack should that happen. But all these challenges, my parents did enjoy the staff very much. They liked the activities, and especially bingo. Even my dad, who was like the curmudgeon who didn't want to socialize with anybody. If I was on a phone call with him and it was time for bingo, he would say, "See ya, I'm going to play bingo," and that was a pleasure to see that he was enjoying that. Assisted living is best for those who can cognitively manage their meds and their appointments and their transportation. For elderly folks or declining parents, choose a facility that can handle all stages of care to minimize stress. Sadly, my dad passed away December 2022, just a few months after moving in. We then moved Mom to my home in Texas. That story is a future video. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you in your journey. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in comments. Thanks for watching.